Hi, this is Emma with Off the Grid News, and in this week's video, we'll be going over some practical tips on how to properly store up food for the winter. First up, we have frozen food. Now, you'll always want to separate your food by type. This could be something as simple as having one section for fruits and vegetables, one for meat and pre-made meals, and one for baked goods and bread. There are two things that you always want to keep in mind when you're freeze storing food. The first is freezer burn. Freezer burned food isn't harmful, but it doesn't taste very good. Signs of freezer burn include crystallization or anything that looks dried out or old. You can help to prevent this by storing all your food in airtight containers and bags. The other thing that you want to be aware of is overpacking. When you overpack your freezer or your deep freeze, you cut off airflow, which serves to keep your food fresh longer. We'd also recommend installing a temperature thermometer so that you can always keep an eye on things. You don't ever want to be surprised, open up your freezer, find out that it went out the night before, and all of your food will be ruined. Next up, we have dry food. Now, just like the freezer stored food, you're going to want to sort these by type. That could be baking supplies in one area, cans and jars in another, and maybe snacks would have a shelf all of their own. It's recommended that you keep the temperature in the pantry between 40 and 60 degrees. In theory, this could be 60 to 70 degrees, but that isn't recommended because it may shorten the shelf life. If you're the kind of person who likes to buy things in bulk, store a small amount in the pantry and keep the rest in an airtight container somewhere else, like the basement or the cellar. This way, you won't have to deal with a large, cumbersome container on a day-to-day basis, and all the extras that you bought will stay fresh longer. Now we have a couple of storage tips. First off, label everything. You want to label all of your food with, at the very least, its name and expiration date. In addition to the expiration date, some people include the date that they packaged it to give themselves a more precise idea of how old that particular item is. Following this tip will help you with the next one, which is to sort by age. When it comes to your frozen food, this means storing the freshest things on the bottom and the oldest things on the top. Same thing with your dry food. Store the freshest things in the back near the wall and the older things up front. This will help you to use things before they go bad. If you have a lot of people in your home, or you simply have a lot of food to store, getting an extra freezer or deep freeze will help prevent overpacking, which leads to food waste, and will serve to prevent frustration when you can never find what you need. By getting a backup, you could even dedicate an entire freezer to one type of food. If you live in a small house or are otherwise limited to a small space, there are three great ways you can work around it. The first is to utilize your vertical space. This could mean stacking storage bins or building tall shelves. You can also conserve space by moving supplies like flour, sugar, or beans that normally come in large sacks or bags into tubs or jars that can be easily stacked. Certain furniture, oftentimes benches even, allow for storage inside of themselves. These are commonly used around the house for blankets or other household items, but they can work to store dried food just as well. Strangely enough, living in small spaces is actually fashionable right now, meaning that there are lots of resources and ideas on how to make the best use of space. Anything from hanging containers from the ceiling to converting a closet into an unused pantry is an option. Do some research and find out what works best for you. As always, if you aren't following us already, you can find us over at offthegridnews.com or on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Pinterest page. Thanks so much for watching. This is Emma with Off the Grid News, and I'll see you next time.